On today's episode of the Business of You podcast, we have Danielle Hobson. Danielle is an intuitive business coach who helps women build businesses that create more freedom, fun, and fulfillment. Combining strategy, mindset, energetics, and action, Danielle helps women stop outsourcing their power and start creating success on their terms. In today's episode, we're exploring the edge of permission and why so many women wait for permission to earn more, work less, change direction, outgrow old goals, and build a business that truly reflects what they want. We're going to be talking about trust, self-trust, success, capacity, and why so many of us are waiting to seek approval when we already know the answer to decisions that we have. If you like today's episode, make sure you drop us a follow, make sure you subscribe so you can watch the whole entire series of The Business of You. And if you've had any thoughts or reflections or comments, make sure you put them down in the comment section and I will get straight back to you. Hello. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the Business of You podcast. We are going to be talking today all around the edge of permission. Okay. As you know, the first season of the Business of You podcast is all about edges, and everybody that I've hand selected and invited on to the podcast is going to be coming at an edge. Yeah. From their perspective. So we had a chat, didn't we, about your magic and, you know, the work that you do, and we've come up with this angle of the edge of giving permission. So let's dive in and just set the scene a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the thing that we talked about. Is we said, why do we wait for permission or feel the need for permission, particularly as women in business? So let's just start there.
Okay, so my take on this pretty much comes from the fact that we're super conditioned. So the world that we live in, society, generational, cultural, that all of the things that go before us and around us, right? So environmental as well, being a big one. We're conditioned to be in a box, I like to say. We're conditioned to do things a certain way, and without getting too controversial and going into the whole tin hat theories and kind of without going into all of that, I just think that there's an air and a level of control in the world, and to keep us in line, and that's why I think we're very led to believe that we need to do things a certain way. So when it comes to your inner desires or your inner thoughts and feelings to do something that's maybe against the grain or outside of the box, it can make us feel immediately like we need to ask for permission to do that. And obviously going in, you know, you then add being a woman on top of that, and the generations and generations of where women, you know, were and still are, definitely to a certain degree. So you add that to it and you've got this whole suppression, I suppose. Like you've got this whole feeling of, I can't do that without the permission.
Asking somebody else, getting permission from somebody else. So let's just dive into what the different kind of areas around permission. So we both work predominantly women in business, you know, and so obviously that conversation is probably more going to be aligned with the types of permissions that come up for women running businesses. What kind of permissions do you see day in and day out that are always cropping up? So it's around money, around success. Like what do you see coming through in your work?
Yeah, it's ultimately being themselves. Like they're having to ask for permission to just be who they are, and I talk about this quite a lot when we're looking at transitioning from maybe being in an employed setting into being a business owner, and immediately we could have spent 20, 30, 40 years in a career that's full of skills, that's full of amazingness, that we've put our heart and soul in, and then we're transitioning into being a business owner, and we immediately think we're a novice. We immediately put ourselves into the novice box.
And I think it's because in the corporate role, it's always somebody else's dream, right? You're building somebody else's dream, so you aren't the decision maker. You're having to ask permission of, is this what we want to do? But like you say, when we come into our own business, there's nobody there, it's you, and that's really a massive shift, isn't it?
It's daunting, right? But also I think it's because of just having that mindset of, I'm new to this. And actually
nothing counts up until
you're not new to this. You're transferring however many years of skills, all of your life experience, everything. And especially for those people that go into passion-led, heart-led businesses, or even businesses that are similar to what they've been doing in their career, it's you're not new.
Yeah.
It's just a new title. It's a business owner rather than, you know, an employee now. So, and I like to teach my clients this. I like to help them to reframe that in their head so that they can see that actually you're not new at this. You've got so many skills that you can bring forward, so much experience that you've got under your belt. You're actually an expert in that field. Yeah. It's just a different title.
Coming back to the thing you just said there about heart-led, you know, and women and people doing things that they really love. I think there's something there in that conversation around if you really, really love what you do, it almost feels like it's not allowed to be easy. And I know that's a huge thing. And I love this. I see you talking about all the time, you know, about business gets to be easy. And that's your magic, is helping women do business their way that feels easy. But what do you think about that conversation around if we're doing something we love, it shouldn't be allowed to feel easy, and therefore we're seeking permission because it almost feels like it's too good to be true? Yeah.
I had this conversation literally yesterday with a new client who is really struggling to see the things that she loves being able to make her money. Yeah. Like, she's still putting them in the hobby box.
They've always been separate to her.
They've always separate, right? She's putting them in the hobby box, and you know, I can't possibly earn money from a hobby
because I love it and I enjoy it,
and I enjoy it absolutely. You know, because we're led to believe that work is hard, should be hard. You should have to earn it. You know, you've got to do X, Y, and Z to get to that point. You've got to work really hard to go up the ladder and earn more and all of that sort of stuff. And we're not told, certainly not at school, and definitely not as an adult, that you can play, have fun, you know, live in a pleasureful life and get paid really well for it. And me and my clients and the people that I associate myself with, the environment that I hang out in, like, and I'm, you know, I feel like I'm fucking about my mates all day.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that literally is my tagline.
It's so fun.
Like, it's so fun. Everything that I do gets to be fun. Like, look at this. Like, how lush is this to be able to come here with you as a friend, supporting each other's businesses. Yeah. Like,
and we've just spent a week in Ibiza.
Like, having so much fun. So when you look at it like that, we're living proof that you know that you can do stuff like that.
It's almost like you're being naughty, isn't it? Yeah. Like, if it's fun, it's like you're being naughty and shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, and it's so it pains me, like, the more, you know, the more I see it. So, like, it is, I feel like it is truly my mission,
your soul's work.
My soul's work to do this, to teach individuals, to, you know, especially women, that you literally can have fun, you can build a business in the way that you want to build a business without asking for permission, without having to get, and do you know what, even in that breath, like, if you need permission, I'm giving you it, we're giving you it, like, here you go.
What do you need?
You can have it. Yeah.
And I often say that to my clients when they say, like, oh, I don't feel ready, and I always say to them, well, what would make you feel ready? Like, what do you need? Do you need a certificate? Should I make you one? Like, like, do you need a letter of recommendation? You know? And that's the thing, is because actually, if I gave you a piece of paper right now giving you permission, would you feel any different? And the answer is always no.
No, of course not.
So we're always seeking something that actually doesn't exist, and a lot of the time it's avoidance, isn't it? And things like that. Okay, so permission to have fun, we've covered. Let's talk about money, because I know this is a topic you love. You do loads and loads of work with your clients around this. So let's talk about our permission, the permission that we need to make more money.
Okay.
Where does that come from? What does that look like? How does that play out in women's businesses and in their lives?
I definitely think that it depends where you come from. Yeah. I definitely think that, like, and every situation is different. And I'm not saying that, you know, if you're from a council estate, that's the only place that you can feel this need for permission to make money because you never had it. Because there's also people, you know, that have grown up in wealthy environments that feel like making money is a given, but it is a given in a certain
But they've never made their own money. It's always somebody else's money. So there's depth to all of it.
All of it, absolutely, you're right. Obviously, my personal experience is that I am from a council estate. We didn't grow up with money in the bank. You know, my mum was a stay-at-home mum. My dad would work any job just to put food on the table. You know, it was topped up by benefits, and you know, I was the girl with the free school meals and the where I'm from, they used to call it the YPO, so like the free school uniforms, right? So like, I was that child. We had free stuff from the government. You know, we had help from the government, and money business was not an influence, you know, in my world. Like none of my friends' mums and dads, you know, owned businesses. It was all like, you know, the mum generally was a stay-at-home mum, and the dad, you know, and obviously we're from that era as well, you know, where that was kind of what happened.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that influence. So when you don't have that influence, it can become very difficult to see how you personally can make money or more money or money
more
past,
money. Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a layer of you feel like how can you possibly override your parents as well, right?
So generational kind of
the generational conditioning,
and husbands, partners, you know, that's a big thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, me and my partner, we grew up in similar we have similar backgrounds, for sure, but definitely like I had that whole guilt of, and I suppose fear of making my mum and dad look stupid if I earn more than them, or you know, if I
there's a limit, there's an appropriate limit of what you should earn, and you know, for your family, and
wasn't very big. That limit wasn't very big.
So at what point do you think you kind of, in your growing up, in your teens, in your 20s, like, because you're very entrepreneurial now, at what point do you think things changed for you, where you were like, I've got to change this narrative?
So I am an Aries. So I've always got that like rebel side to me anyway. So even as a child, I was a good, sensible child.
But you're pushing
against. I was always pushing limits. I was always pushing limits, and I was always annoyed at just having to do as I was told. Like I would do it to a certain degree, pushed a little bit, but then I was like really annoyed. And obviously as I became an adult, I mean, I left home at 17.
Super independent. You
absolutely.
Always have been, haven't you?
Yeah, my partner at the time, my boyfriend at the time, was 10 years older than me. I ended up pregnant at 19 and had my son at 19. So like I went on a little bit of a spiral, but it was my rebellious stage, I think, because I'd been so sensible,
breaking and so out of that
as a child, but I knew it was inside of me, and I knew I needed to go and just do what I wanted to do.
That was your expression of that at that time.
Absolutely. And then it was like, you know, I went through a really bad relationship. That was a bad relationship, and it was when I just wrote a post about this the other day, actually.
I saw.
When I was 2 weeks postpartum, that he beat me up for the last time. And if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So that was the start of me like really starting to see things differently. And you know, I'd gone through this rebellious stage and ended up in a relationship where I was beat down, which is so like counterintuitive in a way. And then I met my husband, who made me feel safe again completely. So I met him when I was 21, and we got married, so a few years later, and it was I only have to be shown something once, right? I only have to be shown that something is possible. So I come across a network marketing company online, and I probably did think, to be honest, it was a bit of a scam at first, but I'm very intuitive, and I know I just had to go for it. And I was shown a different way. It was like somebody had punched a hole in my cardboard box.
Look at that line. Look what's out there.
It's like I'd been inside rattling around like the Tasmanian devil, trying to get out. I didn't know how to do it, and then this network marketing company had punched a hole in it and introduced
you what's possible.
Introduced me to a whole new environment, a whole new level of human being, like just so many different people, environments, backgrounds, you know, everything. And I was like, okay, that's possible now. I was 26, I think, when that happened. Just turned 40 this year, so many years ago. And then that was like the end of that. Like I went through my own issues with money, especially like I was asking for the permission. Can I earn more? Is this possible for me? And meeting people that had lived similar lives to me. And seeing them break the mold, being inspired by that. That was it. Just shown once and I'm gone. So I'm a generator in human design, and I go on my sacral. So like it's an intuitive decision, but I'm also like I'll respond. I only have to see something and I'm gone. The invitation's there. The invitation's gone. And I go.
Amazing. I think it's really interesting, like hearing about your background, because mine was the opposite in terms of my parents. Like my parents were always self-employed. Like I grew up in rural North Wales, so most of my friends' parents were self-employed. That was kind of like, we all had, it was like hospitality businesses, pubs, hotels, restaurants, B&B. So I grew up never seeing my parents go to work, always working for themselves. So for me, I always knew I'd be self-employed. It wasn't even a question. So it's so funny, isn't it? Kind of different, but we're both kind of arrived at a similar place. But I think the conversation around kind of the narratives that you grow up with around money do massively, they're formative, aren't they? You know, and you carry them into, and I think this is why both of us do a lot of work with our clients around unbreaking these patterns and noticing, you know, where these narratives are coming up. So what about working less or time and freedom? And I know this is, again, really shared values of us, like, you know, with our families and stuff. We both love to travel. We both adore our freedom. Talk to me about where women look for permission to and we touched on this in Ibiza, didn't we, about being busy and women not being able to rest. Let's talk about that.
So I this is going to sound quite controversial as well, because it's the same as my opinion with the whole I think business is easy. Right. I know that there's so many people that be listening to this podcast now going, what are you talking about, Danielle?
This is good. This is the whole point, right?
Absolutely.
Is get people thinking differently.
Absolutely. There's another way to think when it comes to rest and, you know, working less, etc. So like, I've reframed the word work in my world. So work isn't hard for me. Work is just living. It's my work is as easy as breathing.
Work can be restful.
Absolutely. So my work
is not separate.
For sure. Like, because I've built my business from my purpose and from an extension of who I am, there's no on and off switch to that for me. And this is like, I find this with a lot of my clients, because they're building from passion-led places. I think a lot of women will resonate with that. Absolutely. Coaches, you know, service providers, healers, therapists, counsellors, like that. I work with a lot of those people, which it generally
it's not a switch, is it?
No. It's an extension of who we are. So like, I can't switch my service off, if you know what I mean. It's just who I am. If I'm not coaching my clients, I'm coaching my husband. If I'm not coaching my husband, I'm coaching my kids. That's exactly who I am. I'm a born and bred, you know, giver of my thought processes and my abilities in that respect. So could I put that into strategies that don't fit me, that feel hard, that then would fit into the society's interpretation of work? Yes, of course I could. It would then need an off-on switch. It would then need rest. It would then need holidays. It would then need breaks, etc. But I don't have that. And this is what I help my clients to learn to adapt into their world, is creating the strategies in your day, the offers that you have, the clients that you work with, the environments that you hang out in, like it would be for fun and social. And if that means that for you it's more on your own, then we build it like that, because you like to be a home bird, or you like to be on your own. If it's more from a social setting, you like to be around you know, beautiful people and beautiful surroundings, then we'll build it around that. And we create strategies, because every single strategy works. You know, we've had this conversation before. Every single strategy works, but they don't all work for everybody, because it's about learning who you are as a person, what you enjoy. And again, nobody ever learns this growing up.
It's not taught in schools, is it?
It's not taught in schools. You're taught in schools to take on external, not to bring out internal. So when you start bringing out that internal information, like, who are you? What do you love? What do you enjoy? What do you feel even? You can then start surrounding your external to curate
a life and a business.
Absolutely. And so business and life is the same thing for me. Like, so the rest situation, and listen, don't get me wrong, it don't mean that I don't rest, because there is absolutely times when life
you do
us,
detach,
right?
or you do.
And you have to detach, or life will life, business will business, and create situations that will eat into my capacity a little bit more than they would do on a day-to-day basis. Is there times where I need to get my head down and arse up? Absolutely. That's obviously there needs there's seasons in my life
yeah.
and my business where I will do that, but then there's seasons in my life and my business where it's a little bit slower and it's a little bit more, or it feels like what an external person would say, somebody else would say, it's resting, you're resting now. But it's all the same to me. It's just flow. It's just flow.
So if somebody was struggling and they weren't giving themselves permission to rest or to curate this life or business, what strategies or what tips would you give them to help get started with that kind of, autonomy to do that and give it to themselves? Because that's the thing, as business owners, nobody is going to give us that permission. So we can keep looking and looking and looking and looking, but nobody's coming. Right, we've got to learn to do it for ourselves. So how do we self-advocate?
So the first thing I would always say is just create awareness. Like, just start tapping into and auditing how you feel. Not what things look like, not what things should be or whatever. What do things feel like for you? And if you're recognizing that things are feeling harder, tougher, tighter, whatever they are, note them. And then if you've got the ability and accountability to be able to sit down, and again I say this quite a lot to my clients, sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, just for a minute, and it's exposure therapy. So like, if with anything, changing anything, building the confidence to do anything well, you have to do it right. So if you're trying to get to that point where you can rest without guilt and you can rest without having to do and panic and all of that sort of stuff, then you start doing it bit by bit, and
it's safe, right? That's it.
You build the safety, because that's all it is. It's a nervous system thing, right? So your nervous system will, its only job is to keep you safe, right? And what's safe to a nervous system is familiarity. So if you've never rested, if you've always been a doer, if you're a hustler, if you're a very masculine-led person, you will 100% struggle with that. It will feel unsafe to stop, unfamiliar. To stop, to sit down, to rest. Now, take half an hour and just note how you feel. Build into that nervous system. Talk to yourself if you need to. I like to look at my nervous system as a little mini Danielle, right? So like, having her, she's there to keep me safe.
Having a conversation with her.
Absolutely, having a conversation with her.
What do we need? Like, what's going on here?
How do you feel? Is this okay? We're all right now. Thanks for getting me here. I'm fine. I'm great. And create that, autonomy over yourself to do that. Then you go to an hour, then you go to half a day, then you go to, and I promise you, what's really funny is, especially when it comes to things like burnout, for example, or things getting hard and tough in business where capacity is stretched and we can't see the wood for the trees. And you think, because it feels so big at that point, the issues that you have feel so big that you think if you stop, you're going to need a month, or you're going to need 3 months off, right? And when
if I stop, I'm going to hit a wall, and that's it.
You presume in your head that you're going to need that amount of time off, and if you have that amount of time off, your business will die, right? That's not going to happen. Like, I promise you, that's not going to happen, because what will actually happen is, and I've witnessed this so many times, one for myself, because I used to be a heavily masculine one as well before I am, where I am right now. I'm heavily in the feminine at the minute. And there's seasons for both, and we need both. But I see this quite a lot with my clients, that they will be in a position where they're burnt out, or they're getting to that point, or they feel really just stretched for capacity. And I'm saying to them, encouraging them and giving them that permission to take a breath. And they think they're going to need all this time. And I say to them, listen, when you actually stop and really stop, it might take you 3 days for your nervous system to just calm, right? 3 days. Nothing's going to happen in 3 days, right? When that 3 days comes and you're calm and you're in your safe zone again, downloads will come, ideas will come, solutions will come, because you've created that space for yourself to be able to connect.
Can't make decisions in fear, can we?
No.
Or in that heightened...
No. And obviously, if I talk about this from a spiritual point of view, right? So like working, co-creating with the universe and
source, isn't it?
Source, absolutely. So you're connecting to your energy source, to your power, right? You can't connect with your power when your capacity is stretched and you're full of all of these worries, panic, stresses, fears. When you've calmed that down and you reconnect naturally, the ideas will come. And then you have to just figure out, and I guarantee generally within a week,
you've reset.
And people think they're going to need a month, 3 months, right? And nothing, I know I say, but did you die? Like, but did you die?
Thing isn't going to happen.
You just took a week off social media. Nobody even missed you.
And you're an EFT practitioner as well, aren't you? So you incorporate that quite a lot into your work. So just briefly talk to us a little bit about that, because that is about nervous system regulation. You know, how does EFT as a tool?
Again, we don't get taught this at school, right? We
should.
We absolutely should. And we don't get taught that, you know, anything about the nervous system, full stop, and that's exactly what runs the show for us, right? It's how safe we feel. And it came into my life from, again, like I said, I used to be quite masculine run, and I was a doer, and I even at one point at the very, very start of my first business, I was like, the only thing I can describe myself as is ignorance on fire. I saw it was possible, and I was like,
nothing is going to stop me from doing this.
I had a full-time job, I had a 3-year-old, I had a 7-year-old, I had a house to run, and I'd just started my business, and within 6 months I'd quit my job because I'd 4 times my monthly income. So it was like,
you set your mind to it.
But then I burnt out because that's what happens,
full
right?
pelt.
Yeah, absolutely. I went full pelt and burnt out because that's not sustainable. Nothing like that is sustainable. And obviously I was doing things that I didn't really enjoy doing. Now when I look back in hindsight and I realise and understand that. So when mindset came into my world or my vicinity, I was like, no, I ain't got time for that. It was like, so in network marketing, we was like contacting people. And I was like, in 10 minutes that you're telling me to sit down and read a book or, you know, listen to a podcast on mindset or do some journaling, I was like,
I could have done 3 things on my list. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I could have contacted 10 people in that time.
I used to be exactly the same.
So I could do something, and the doing is what moves me forward.
That's valuable.
It's productive. That's not productive. Sitting down and doing nothing is not productive. That's how I used to see it. And again, I'm a northern person from Doncaster, born and bred, still live up there, you know. And you know, the Yorkshire mindset is work just hard. Get on with it, work hard. We're all working class people, etc. So, I needed something to do when I first started getting into the more balanced, you know, work within business of the mindset stuff, and then the energy work and how things felt. And I really started studying all of that. And I was like, I tried the whole, and I'm a meditation teacher as well. And I could guide people in meditation, but sitting and doing it on my own, I felt so much harder.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, my brain wouldn't switch off. I think I'm probably undiagnosed ADHD as well, to be fair. But my brain wouldn't switch off, and unless I was guided, which I found easy. But then I was like,
exactly the same. I think that's the thing with tapping. It gives you something you feel like you're being productive with it, don't you?
Absolutely. So that's where it started for me, and I stumbled across it. And I was like, wow, this literally keeps me grounded while I am doing the work, right? So obviously understanding it, and EFT, for those that are listening and watching, it's emotional freedom technique, and it does regulate the nervous system, and what it runs on is like, just like blood runs through our veins, energy,
shifting that energy
runs through what meridian lines in our body, and it works just like acupressure or acupuncture on the points, the meridian points in our bodies. We're just releasing that pressure of the energy that builds up there. So if your nervous system is dysregulated, if you're having a hard time, if you're just a little bit all over the place, then this is something that can really, it'll be built up basically. You've got little masses of dark energy in your meridian points that we're just dispersing them as we're tapping on them. And because you run through specific statements as you're doing it, it really is bringing up that energy around that specific topic.
That level of self-awareness, isn't it? It's making you... Somebody said to me the other day, and I love this, and I think this is really relevant, is they said that emotions are just energy in motion. It's exactly that, right? So tapping is a really useful practice when you have got big emotions that you're trying to process, right? And they are stuck. You're moving through them, through the awareness, but also the physical movement of the energy through your body.
Energy has to move.
Absolutely.
Like it
can become stagnant, can't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so another thing that I want to ask you about on our conversation around permission is permission to stop following industry norms, because I know, again, this is a topic you love. You lead by example with this, and we've always laughed about this in the past, haven't we? Because we're quite different.
We're very different in that respect.
Personality and characters. And whenever we work together, I'm like, let's get a launch plan, let's do this. And you're like, no, I'm just going to feel into it. And I'm like, oh my God. So talk to me a little bit. Even
this, right? So like even this, so obviously we, it's not like we're not reading off a script at all, but we have points and like you like a structure and your brain works more logistic process driven. Whereas mine is like, I'm in the body and I'm more so now. So that
you're in the moment and
absolutely, like I have to riff. It has to come from, and obviously because I channel as well. So like the things that have to be heard will absolutely,
they won't wait.
They'll come through, and that can't be written on a script. It'll just come when it comes. And I like it like that. The more I am scripted in any way, shape or form, or the more structure
backed into a corner kind of thing.
Feels like I am backed into a corner. It feels like I'm being put back in that box. And before you come at me and say you need more healing, like I don't. I'm all right. I'm
good with it.
I'm good with it. Like this. I love living my life like this. But that doesn't mean that I can't work with people that are structured. Like so, absolutely, my job in this world is to help you understand what your needs and wants are and desires are, and if it is the structure processes format, then great. And if it's not, then great. Obviously, I've got experience in both because I like I said, I was very masculine run beforehand, and instruction and process based, but I think the less conditioned I've become, the less structure based I am. For me, basically, that's how it works for me. So when it comes to industry norms and seeing how, I write posts about this quite regularly, actually.
What are some of the industry norms do you think you challenge? What are some of the things over the years that I think I really fundamentally disagree with this?
Professionalism.
Right, okay.
So
talk to us about that then.
So professionalism for me, I just think it's something that somebody made up once.
On a CV.
What, and what is it? Like that's how I feel about it. Like, another big thing for me is that goes against the professionalism thing and the boundaries. Like, so I've got a few, right? So let's start with the professionalism. So the professionalism for me, I just don't believe in it, and I like to just be myself. So I will swear, I will send unhinged reels to my clients like at 11 o'clock at night. I will DM them at 2 a.m. in the morning because I'm perimenopausal as hell, and they've got their phone on silence, their responsibility. If it's not, if I wake them up, it's their responsibility. Like that, those sorts of things, right? That some people would be like, "Are you joking?"
That's not boundaries.
And then there's the boundaries thing, right? So I don't have boundaries when I'm the only way that I can describe my business setup is it's inbred. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. So I'll give you an example of that, right? So I'm friends with my clients. I hire my clients hire me. I coach their parents. I coach their...
It's intimate, isn't it?
Yep. I coach their husbands. I'll hire...
their kids' names.
All of that. It's we literally are inbred. Like I've got friends, clients, and business partners all in one person. Right? So in multiple people, I do this. And that for me is key. Because I want to spend my days with the people that I love, that I enjoy, that we click, that our energies align on so many different things.
And it's reciprocal as well,
and it's
right?
Of course, I can't force them to be my friend, right?
Like, but that energy exchange, right, that has to be there.
Absolutely.
We both know trying to coach people that aren't our people is so difficult.
And I think I just take that whole ideal client to a whole new level. I just take it to a whole new level. Like they are I literally would live with these people. I could live with these people. They're my ride or dies, a lot of them. And it leads into the fact that I have, when it comes to business success, like my retention rate is over 95% of my clients because we absolutely love each other. And that does not affect the way that I coach them. It does not affect the way that their service works for me and mine. It doesn't affect the way that we charge each other.
And that respect is still there.
Respect is still there. Because also there's don't get me wrong, like that has bit me on the ass so many times in the past, and I've literally done podcasts with this about this in the past, where you may get somebody that takes advantage of that personal relationship that you have, but ultimately I have contracts and everything, so that I do have, like, you know, that's the same as an industry norm. Like, I have contracts to protect myself, and that's come from being bitten in the past, right?
That's a learning curve of business, isn't it? We've all been there.
Of course. So having, you know, a business relationship and a personal relationship, and when it comes, like, they blur on a daily level, on a daily basis, but if push come to shove, you don't take the piss out of me because my contract backs me up, right? So there is always that. And touch wood, I haven't had this for a couple of years now. So, like, you know, you some people catfish you. they make you feel like they are the person until they're not. Yeah. But those things are in place. So I do think to myself, you know, most business coaches especially would look at me and the way that my business is built and absolutely cringe. Like, I don't use spreadsheets. I don't have a forecast, a 12-month forecast plan. I don't have a massive business. I can't. And the only reason that doesn't work for me, Claire, is because I've tried it. Yeah. And I spend so much time, effort, and energy planning 12 months in advance, for example. And within 3 months, my whole inside is like, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. I need to do this.
You're not feeling it
I've
anymore.
had this download. I want to do that now. This is going to feel better for me. Because obviously, every single time I move on energy, every single time I move on a feeling, it's always successful.
So I think this comes to self-trust, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that, the permission to trust ourselves. How do you think we build that as women in business? Why don't we have it to begin with? Where is the fear and the seeking permission to be who we are? Where does that come from? And how can we learn to build our self-trust to do things like to say, I'm not doing that because it does not feel good. It's on the plan, but I'm not doing it. How do we trust? That's pure self-trust in motion, isn't it?
I think for me, it's the environment. Yeah. So it's seeing other people do it. It's seeing that it exists, that it's possible to do, that other people are trusting themselves, and actually you can do something that you just feel like doing rather than doing something that you've been told to do, right?
You should do.
Yeah, you should do. And like I don't even like the word should, to be fair. Like, I try and get that out of my vocabulary as much as possible. But seeing it and then trying to implement that into your world, because you could sometimes as well, there's that aspect of, okay, I can see that she can do it, that's okay for her, you know, she can do that, but like, how is that possible for me? And again, like anything, we've already said this, it's the exposure therapy. You've got to stretch the comfort zone, right? You've got to start trying new things, different things, putting yourself in an environment of people that are already doing that, or are testing that as well, and you can see that it gets to happen, and there's strategies in place for it, or there's exercises that you can do, or practices that you can get behind to start doing this, and then actually doing it yourself, actually stretching that comfort zone, actually regulating your nervous system at each and every point, because our brain is obviously wired to go into confirmation bias, right? So at the start of, you don't trust yourself because of the condition that you've had in your life, and everything you've ever been told that you've done before, you've been told is rubbish, or it's not good enough, or whatever. We all have our own self-limiting beliefs, and whatever yours are can lead to you being in this place where you just don't believe that you are good enough. So you don't trust yourself, and you don't trust your decisions and your judgment and all of that stuff. And the only way to change that is to start putting these practices in place.
Finding evidence.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to find that evidence, and you've got to build that evidence. Yeah. That evidence comes from life experience, from failing, from trying it and from failing, and from trying it again and from that not working, from trying again and then finding that piece. Oh, that worked. Loved that.
I think it's safety in failure, right? And that's exactly it. So
being okay with it.
Yeah, a topic that I'm really passionate about too is that we have got to learn that it is safe to fail, and that failure is just knowledge, right? It isn't a reflection of who we are.
It's just data.
So coming back to that conversation around, giving ourselves permission to be who we are, I think it's that self-assurance in, I am okay whether this does or doesn't work. Yeah. That's self-trust, isn't it?
It's that piece. Yeah, it is. The piece is, will I be okay with this?
Yeah.
if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go the way that I wanted it to go. And then that's where my
what am I going to make
in.
that mean?
Yeah. Does this mean something about me? And that's where you get to choose. It's a choice as well, right? So it's a choice whether you make that mean something about yourself or whether you just see it as being data. And again, that takes practice. And then I also bring my spirituality into this, and I bring my faith that it's everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And if that didn't work out, it's because that's not the path, right? If that didn't work out, that's not for me right now.
Yeah.
And so I have the belief of it's this or something better. So whenever I set out to do anything, right, I don't look at the goal necessarily. I know where I'm going, I've got intention, right? I know I'm wanting to head that way, but I don't put all of my focus and energy and intention just on that end goal. I put it on
the journey,
having fun while I'm doing this, and it will lead to wherever it's meant to lead, right? So then you don't get so disappointed if it doesn't go exactly to this goal that you set, right? Because you see so many women, they'll set themselves, let's use money as an example. I want $5,000 months or $10,000 months, okay, and then they hit $8,000 and they're disappointed they didn't get $2,000. I'm like, are you joking?
Yeah.
Are you joking? You hit $8,000, like, but because they were so focused.
Yeah, I can't see.
So earning that amount, an amazing amount of money of £8,000. Bear in mind, you've come from a council estate, and you're earning £8,000 a month now, and you're disappointed. You can't see that massive achievement. So it's reframing exactly, what you're working towards and how you make that feel for you, and then ultimately that'll build your self-trust, because you'll be like, well, it's just data. I'm just collecting data and I'm having fun along the way.
I think it's I was talking about this yesterday by Gay Hendricks wrote the book The Big Leap, about the upper limit problem, and it kind of comes to that, doesn't it? If we only believe what's possible is only what we believe is possible. So what we set as our upper limit of is possibility is what is possible for us.
The fishbowl.
Exactly that. Okay. So the thing that I want to end on is a really big question. So why do you think so many people, so many women are so uncomfortable asking for what they really want?
Okay. Because they don't believe they can get it. That's the whole be all and end all, I think, for me, is they don't believe it's possible. And so we're just, continuing on that, the realm of possibility. And I say this to my clients all the time, play in the realm. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
And I'll use evidence-based stuff as an example, because there's so many different scenarios in our life where you end up doing something that you didn't think it would have happened, or something's happened in your life that you didn't think were ever going to happen. And so, like, it might not be at the minute that you've got it in your business, you haven't got enough evidence in your business that you can achieve X, Y, and Z, or you can ask for more or whatever in your business. But I guarantee you will have times in your relationships, in your friendships, in your work life, in your family life, where you didn't know something was going to happen, and within 24 hours, 2 weeks, 5 years, whatever, it's all of a sudden your life has changed and you've gone on this trajectory that wasn't the plan, wasn't part of the plan, and you didn't know about it. So that's a piece of evidence that you can use,
and you've coped with it, right?
And you've managed it, and it's happened, and that's a piece of evidence that you've actually got something. You've achieved something that you've found something, or you've got something in your life that you never thought was possible.
Yeah.
So if you can play in the realm of possibility, if you can play in the realm of anything is possible, because anything is possible, right? And use that as a daily mantra, that will allow you to build up that inner permission that actually I can have more, because more is available.
That more expansive.
I can have that more expansive life. I can have that more expansive way of thinking. I can have anything, right? Anything can happen. You don't know who you're going to meet tomorrow. You don't know who's going to pick up the phone. You don't know who's going to come into your life that you had no idea was waiting around the corner.
I think it's a bit like, I talk about this as like a game of tennis with the universe, right? It's energy exchange.
Yeah.
And I talk about this a lot with my clients. Of sometimes I'll notice in them that they're looking for the evidence that it's going to work before they feel ready to do it. And they're like, if I just knew it was going to work, I'd do it. And it's kind of like, that's not how it works.
Nope.
Sometimes you have to serve first, right?
Yep.
You have to shoot your shot.
Yep.
And you just have to put it out there in the world.
You've got to do your bit.
100%, yeah. And I call this like, you've got to get better at just playing the game
Yeah.
of football teams, hockey teams, like anything sports related. They go out and they don't know what the outcome's going to be, right? Because they can't control it, because there's a whole other team. All they can do is go out and play their best game, right?
And that's why where I would say pick your game.
Yeah.
So you're using games as strategies, right? So for me, I would be like, pick your game. So for me, it wouldn't be tennis, because tennis wouldn't be something I enjoy doing in, doing the journey, right? It'd be something else. Yeah. It'd probably be spa days, not sport. Spa days, not sport. So pick what feels better for you, because then it's what you want to do is you want to create the journey that's enjoyable, so that you can't wait to get up the next day and work on it, because it doesn't actually, it then really doesn't matter about the outcome.
Not creating a life you need a rest from.
Absolutely. Right? It doesn't matter about the outcome. You won't be too focused on the outcome if what you're doing in the meantime is so enjoyable that it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm loving it anyway. And obviously action and doing your bit is inevitably going to lead you to success, or to the path that you're supposed to go on, and the achievements that you're supposed to have, and the desires are going to come into your world. If you've got the intention there, you're playing your bit, you're serving first, you're going and doing, you're co-creating with the universe, not sitting, meditating, opening it all, fall into your lap.
Inspiration. Yeah. Okay, so to bring us to a close then, obviously this episode has all been about the edge of permission. Yeah. So for any of our listeners that are really resonating with this, and they feel like they, are those people, are those women who are noticing that they're looking for permission, they're looking for validation, what's 3 kind of key things to leave them with of how to move forward from today? What can they start doing? Okay,
so the first one would be what we just talked about, the playing in the realm of possibility. And reframing how they take action, in the journey, rather than
letting go of the outcome.
Yeah, letting go of the outcome. We always say, marry the process and divorce the outcome, so to speak. The second thing would be looking for the evidence in more than one place, right? So
not just client wins,
not just like your business either. Like if you're new to business and you're like, I don't know how to run a business, I'm a novice, I don't know how to do this, I'm a beginner. You're not a beginner at life. So look in life, where have you done things that you didn't think you could have done?
You might navigate 3 young children under 5, you might with a household, right? And that's the thing, is we're doing incredible things every day that we just don't notice. Our skills, our natural abilities.
Absolutely. And then the other thing would be to create space for yourself, like active space. We're not told this, we're told to fill everything. You need to do something. And I mean unconsuming space. So it could be anything. It could be going for a walk, it could be getting in the bath, it could be going to the gym, whatever it is that's good. It could be journaling, meditating, whatever is good for you, but it needs to be no consuming. So no phone, no podcast, nothing that you think is productive, right? Nothing that you think is productive.
You're not learning,
anything. A space for you to be able to just be with your thoughts is the most important, because that will help your nervous system to regulate. It'll help you really tap into the connection and yourself and your inner desires and wants and needs, and the answers, every answer that you could possibly want is already in you. And I suppose another thing that I would say as well is, I'm saying this and I know that there'll be people that are listening to this saying, well, that's easy for you because you understand it and you know it now, because also the thing is you don't know what you don't know, right?
Absolutely.
And this is a very short podcast in comparison to what both myself and Claire could help you with as a coach, right? There is also nothing wrong with reaching out for support 100%, to somebody, right? Until you have that ability, like even we do, right? So like we'll never be without people to support us and guide us and people to reach out to, and whether that is a peer, whether it's somebody that you invest in, whether it's somebody that can just show you the way in that respect, like. You don't, just because you can as well, right? If you're watching this and you think, well, I can do that, but I'm not. Why am I not?
Yeah.
Just because you can't doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
Right? So reach out. If you're finding yourself going around in circles and not building up that self-trust, keep asking yourself for permission, or keep asking for the permission and not really tapping into yourself, then reach out and get something to help you do that.
Get the support, yeah. I think that just coming back to the part about sitting, with your thoughts, I think for a lot of people that can feel very exposing.
Very.
It's a very vulnerable thing to do, and that's probably why a lot of us avoid doing it, right? Is because there's nowhere to hide.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. I think we could literally sit here all day.
I know.
I've always got to the surface of the bullet points and what we had to cover, but hopefully you've all got so much from that and it's giving you some things to think about. Make sure you go and follow Danielle. We're going to share all of her social medias and everything, and if you've loved that episode, make sure you give us a follow and a subscribe.